It's a great thrill. You come out, you walk down the road, you see the cinema there, there's on the buses, on the queues right down the road. It's a great thrill.
It was interesting, the first film, we were lucky again because we found a story which was based on the original thing, where in Nottingham, at that time, they'd started wanting to use women bus drivers, and the men went on strike.
Drive up Bournemouth High Street and you hear the jingle of the music from the first film, It's a Great Life on the Buses, and you can see that it was filmed there. You go up some of the side roads and you can see where they were stopping and where the inspector got, the water came all over him when the bus went through past the drains and so on.
And then turn around Betty's house, which again was about 5 or 6 streets along from the studio. And that caused quite a stir because that's where they demolished the bus stop. And there's this great line. Reg pulls up in his bus. Of course, there's the Andria Lawrence character. Of course, she's got 3 pairs of knickers hanging out on her line. And that's the signal that her husband's out.
She was having a little bit of fun with Jack. I had this scene with Bob on the bed. And then it was all going, quick, I'm grabbing this and grabbing that, and it was really funny.
Stephen Lewis and Bob Grant had both come from the Joan Littlewood stable, so they could create anything. And I think Stephen was absolutely hysterical because he would be given a line saying, "Oh no," and that would develop into a series, "Oh no, 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 but," and I mean, it was just extraordinary. He built his part from nothing to more or less the second lead in the show.
What you do is you relate the part to something that you know or knew about. And I thought, this guy was somebody who had been a sergeant in the army, and he was able to control the men under him with all that force behind him. He didn't have it now, so he was frustrated. So he was like, I'll get you, butler, I'll get you, I'll have you with this.
Right at the start, it wasn't intended he'd have a big part to play in it, but because he was so good, he got involved more and more because of the way he was and the character he was and the frustration, and they realised that there was good chemistry again, that Jack and Stan could fight against Blake and he'd fight back, and he made for a good authority figure. We had a replica of the bus in the studio. And what we used to do to make it look more real, I would drive, we had the back doors open, and as though it was the garage, and I used to drive the bus into the studio.
So what they would do every day was they'd load up the cast and the crew and the lighting and the food, get onto a bus, and Reg would drive them around particular places they'd found in Bournemouth, which was near to the studios on a dry day, and they would film out on location so they could keep the cost down and keep the production going.
We were made producers because they'd never done a comedy film. They allowed us more latitude than writers would normally be given. We were always on the set and we were asked questions by Roy Skeggs, who himself had not, I think, done many comedies, if any, at that time.
In the 4-week schedule, I was out all the time. The 2 Ronnies, as we called them, the writers were there on hand to help, and a very good production manager. And we looked after Reg. He had his own caravan on the set all the time, and he relaxed. He had a very busy schedule, but he could relax between shots.
I think he was quite a shrewd businessman anyway, but for us he gave us the opportunity of working down the studios, and for Hammer he would pull costs together to keep them and everything as cheap as possible, but within budget, and even save money where he could.
Late 60s, it was the hippie period, and I'd just become a hippie. And then I got called in by the head of London Weekend saying, you cannot travel on the train like that. I said, why not? And he said, because you're recognised now. And that was when it clicked to me that there were certain rules and you had to conform, and it was successful.
They do, they don't start with it on the station today, and they're shouting at me. And the bloke was, had his little mic thing, and he was shouting out, get that train out! So I was on the other platform.
2 or 3 weeks ago, I switched the TV on, and there was On the Buses. So I sat there and watched it and enjoyed it and laughed, and all the memories coming back.
every year, pre-pandemic, the On the Buses fan club would have an event at Boreham Wood, and we've provided them with buses over those years where we've taken the fans to see all the various locations that we can. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of locations to cram in.
We're like a big social club, and they like to get together, perhaps see some On the Buses stuff, see a display of the stuff, but then go around the film locations or the TV locations, then have a talk and get special guests down. Because the beauty of the fan club was we had great support from Wolfe, Chesney, Brian Izzard, Harry Fielder, who was in a lot of things, Anna Karen. They all came to our events.
One of the good things is the fan base is so large now, and it's growing every year, it seems, that there's always new people to come with us and new people to discuss their experiences with the various shows and stuff like that, and they're a wonderful bunch to meet, to be honest.